Here we are. It's early Wednesday afternoon, and I might start doing more rants. I might even do a blog every day. Just go from some article that's in one of the magazines I read. But today I want to talk about Iran. Uh, we'll have a contest probably Friday. I'll figure out something on silver. But uh, there's so much saber rattling now. We got to stop. Quote: We have to stop Iran's nuclear program. It'd be a disaster for the Middle East. We've got the Saudis on one side and who are Sunni, and of course the Iranians are the Shia. We always had a balance of power between Iraq and Iran, and that was called Saddam Hussein. Now there's no balance there at all because there's collusion between Iraq and Iran, so that by going to war with Iraq, we not only destroyed the whole internal mechanisms of Iraq, because now they still don't have the same electric power they had before the war. They're not exporting as much oil as they were before the war, uh, and there's a bigger threat that Kurds will break off in northern Iraq and try to start a Kurdistan, taking a hunk of Iraq, a hunk of Iran, and a nice hunk of Turkey with them. So we've done nothing but cause instability in the neighborhood, and and what do we get for it? We get to be the proxy for Israel, and it's just sick that year after year after year we are the pawns for Israel. And why in the hell? Let me shut this. I'm getting a little light flashing over here of this TV for some reason. Why in the hell we continue to kowtow to the state of Israel? We kowtow to them because uh, the right wingers and the Jewish interest in this country control the media to a tremendous extent, and there is no free media. Let's not even begin to talk about that. It's another rant, another day. But let's talk about internalizing Iran. We've just announced that we're going to spend uh, hundreds of millions of dollars to subterfuge to undermine the government of Iran. Now, could you imagine what would happen if we found out that $1 from Iran was coming to any presidential candidate? We'd hang him. I mean, there wouldn't be a chance that this guy could ever get elected, getting $1 of help from Iran. We wouldn't. We'd all be up in arms saying, "Oh, how dare they interfere with the internal organization of our country and our politics?" Yet we readily admit that we spend hundreds of millions of dollars to undermine the state of the supposed elected government of Iran. Now, it's not our business what the internal mechanisms of their elections are, just like it's not their business what ours are. On top of that, we permit the Israelis and how why we do and why we keep backing them no matter what they could eat our children and we'd still support them. To go in and kill off scientists. Could you imagine if the Iranians come into this country and killed anybody, let alone some of our leading scientists? Say the leading scientists in stealth, uh, you know, in sneaky Air Force or in Predators or any of those lines or in our atomic program. Say they come in and kill Teleroff years and years ago, or they come in and decide to kill Einstein 60 years ago. How crazy would we be to have these people running around our country killing scientists? But yet, we not only condone it, we applaud it when the Mossad comes up with some uh, either internal, they buy people off, or they go and sneak in themselves and kill off Iranian scientists. Why? Just because they might have some disposition, some point of view in this nuclear program. And there's plenty of nuclear information available out there. But the very idea that you can go in and knock off a country scientist, it just it, it Uh, Only the Jews could get away with it. I mean, this is absolutely incredible. But only Israel could get away with it because it has the backing of the United States, and the United States uh, gives them that backing because of the control and the Jewish lobby. Now, uh, we have embargoed them. Could you imagine if somebody sat off our coast and kept us from exporting? What kind of disaster that would cause if they had the ability. Of course, they don't because we're the muscle men of the world. We spend more on arms than all other countries combined. Now, we also, our leading export is arms. 54% of every killing machine made in the world is exported from the United States. And we talk about international policy where we give billions of dollars in foreign aid. All we're giving for the most part are ways of killing people. What our foreign aid is. Give people ships or give people aircraft, and then call it foreign aid. Yeah, nice foreign aid. We are responsible for much of the mess, much of the war, and much of the horrendous killing in this world. Now they say, well, look at what we're doing in Syria. We're sticking up for the people of Syria. Yeah, but when Bahrain when they brought in Saudi troops and Saudi uh, military to put down their uprising, that was fine. Why? Because there's nothing, no, no real amount of oil coming out of Syria, but there is out of Saudi Arabia and out of Bahrain. So these people, as I said, if they wanted to, they could eat their children and eat our children, and we'd still put up with it because of oil. It's just a calamity that just gets magnified and magnified and magnified. Uh, it's there is I don't know there doesn't they're all upset about Iran wanting to get a nuclear device. Well, the nuclear device at the most they'll be able to make is one or two. Now, why in the world would a country commit suicide? So, knowing that Israel has hundreds of nuclear weapons, we never mention that. Everybody knows it, but it's like the forbidden fruit. You know it's there, and you know certain people are taking a bite out of it, but don't talk about it. So what we have then is Iran wants to make a couple of bombs to guarantee themselves security in the neighborhood. But why in the world would, if they have two of them, or if even regardless if they had more than two, they have none now. Why in the world would they drop one on Israel, knowing that Israel has 200 and could literally wipe them off the face of the map, not for now, but for 10,000 years? Now, Saudi Arabia would feel insecure because if Iran had a bomb and they hit the major oil field in Saudi Arabia, it would basically destroy the economy of the world for a good number of years. But but Israel could do that at any moment also. We still are at the feet, kissing the feet of the Knesset and allowing them to dictate foreign policy. And beware, if there's not a big enough outcry from normal everyday citizens in the United States, and there won't be because their congressmen are bought and sold by the Israeli lobby too, that that sooner or later either Israel or we ourselves will go in and cause a war with Iran. And that's the last thing in the world we need is another war in the Middle East. And again, only because we're the pawns of the state of Israel. When we get a president in there that's willing to stand up to Israel and try to put that situation under control and stop them in the West Bank from expanding and taking up all the water, chopping down all the orchards and things of these Arabs. And they say, oh, well, Israel, it's a it's a democracy. It is not a democracy. It'll never be a democracy. It is a theocracy, and they've announced that. And their biggest fear is that more and more Arabs will vote, and the Arabs produce many more children than the Israelis, so they have to find a way of pushing these Arabs out. They're going to push them out of Jerusalem, and they're going to continue to push them out of the West Bank by building more and more settlements. And then they're going to run around and blame Hezbollah and and everyone else for the problems that once in a while they shoot a rocket into the state of Israel from a ghetto of 1.5 million people in Gaza. This is crimes against humanity, and Israel is perpetrating them, and we have got to stand up now and keep them from goading us into bombing Iran. So that's the cheery news. That's the good news. The good news is we haven't done it yet. So I'll probably have a silver contest coming up in 2 days. Thanks for your time, and I think I will do more of these blogs. Take care.